Hi, I'm Katrina from Unity of New Orleans. Welcome to our Sunday Thought Song. We are so happy to have you here with us today. I'd like to begin as usual with our invocation, which was written by Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore. We are now in the presence of pure being and immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. We acknowledge thy presence and thy power, O blessed Spirit. In thy divine wisdom, now erase our mortal limitations, and from thy pure substance of love, bring into manifestation our world according to thy perfect law. And the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Well, it's November, and we are celebrating Thanksgiving this month, so I would like to start with a heartwarming Thanksgiving story. A little boy sat on the steps of a building in the downtown area with a hat by his feet, and he held up a sign which said, "I am blind. Please help." Now there were only a few coins in his hat, and as a man was walking by, he took some coins from his own pocket and dropped them in the hat. And he paused for a moment and looked at the sign, and then he turned it around and he wrote some words on the back of the sign and gave it back to the boy so that everybody who walked by could see the new sign. And soon the little boy's hat began to fill up with money. A lot more people were being generous with the blind boy. And later that afternoon, the man who had changed the little boy's sign came back to see how things were going with the boy, and the boy recognized his footsteps and the sound of his voice, and he asked, "Were you the one who changed my sign this morning? And what did you write?" And the man said, "Well, I basically said what you said, but in a different way. I wrote, 'Today is a beautiful day, but I cannot see it.'" Now, both signs told people that the boy was blind. But the first sign simply said that the boy was blind, while the second sign reminded people of how blessed they were, that they were not blind, and their reaction was gratitude and generosity. So the moral of this story is to be thankful for what you have and to think positively. When life gives you 100 reasons to cry, find 1,000 reasons to smile. And this is an inspiring Thanksgiving story. However, both signs actually represent a limited consciousness, so a unity sign would read, "Even though I cannot see, I am grateful for this beautiful day." And since we are celebrating Thanksgiving and our theme is gratitude, the spirit of Thanksgiving is the celebration of the harvest and the blessings of this previous year with a heart full of gratitude. Gratitude is that precious quality through which we can grow in any situation. And without gratitude, even a perfectly favorable situation, such as the ability to see, allows us or disallows us to really perceive the blessings in our life. How often is our attitude like the boy's sign, which reads, I'm blind, please help, or today's a beautiful day, but I can't see it. So we're going to start by talking about cultivating an attitude of gratitude. This was Mary Beth's theme last week. And let's begin with the revealing word, which was written by Charles Fillmore. He defines gratitude as gratitude and thanksgiving are both necessary in demonstrating prosperity through the divine law. Necessary for demonstrating prosperity. All metaphysicians have found that being thankful for what they have increases the flow. So thankfulness increases the prosperity, the abundance in your life. And gratitude is the great mind magnet. When expressed from the spiritual standpoint, it is powerfully augmented. So gratitude is that magnet necessary for demonstrating prosperity through the divine law, and being thankful increases the flow of abundance. Now, one of my favorite unity ministers, teachers, and authors is Eric Butterworth. And in his book, Spiritual Economics, he wrote, celebrate the flow. It takes a very perceptive person to realize this, but try and get this into your consciousness. When you really have the attitude of gratitude, you have a consciousness that enables you to see abundance wherever it is and celebrate it. Celebrate the good that is all around you. So celebrate the sunrise or the moonlit nights or the colors of fall, the ability to see. These are all reasons for celebration. And how rich you can feel when you have this attitude of gratitude. This feeling of richness is the key to opening the flow of abundance. So always give thanks for the blessings in your life. Butterworth wrote, bless your home, your job, your money supply, and thus confer a consciousness of abundance upon them. It's not something you do to these things. Rather, it is a correction of the mentality that you are projecting onto them. And the law is that things become to you that which you see them as being. Now, there was a rooster who thought that his crowing caused the sun to rise. And he would get up before dawn every morning and prepare himself. He would preen his feathers and clear his throat, and then he would let out a loud cock-a-doodle-doo. And then the sun would rise. And he did this every day. And it gave him a great sense of meaning and purpose in his life. And then one day he overslept. And sadly, he found that the sun had already risen. And it was a crushing blow to him. His life had no meaning, no purpose. He had been kidding himself. But then he had this great insight. He found himself realizing that, well, maybe it wasn't his voice that brings on the day, but even if it did not cause the sun to rise, the rooster decided, I can lift my voice and celebrate the sun's rising. Now that is the spirit of thanksgiving and the inner meaning of gratitude. Eric Butterworth said, always get the view from the top. Before you react in negativity to peoples or conditions or things, take a moment to lift up your eyes. Contemplate all of the challenging and changing experiences from the highest possible point of view, regardless of the appearances of conflict or limitation. See all things from the awareness of allness of life and the ever-presence of substance. From the view from the top, you will see things creatively, leading to an attitude that is constructive and optimistic. So when you take that higher perspective, you can appreciate all things and be grateful for everything. And you can really celebrate that there is abundance everywhere. Think about it. What would an artist or an art museum be without art lovers? Or what would a symphony or a jazz orchestra be without music lovers? You know, we can't all paint or sew or compose or sing or play, but we can celebrate the creative works wherever we find them. Perhaps your voice doesn't cause the sun to rise, but you can praise each day. Appreciation is the greatest kind of creativity, and affluence is not just the free flow of substance into your life, but it is the ability to celebrate all of the abundance in the universe. So now I have had quite the week. You know, it's kind of like when you're canoeing down the river and the water is calm and clear and the sun is shining and the birds are singing, and then all of a sudden you hit the rapids and it becomes stressful and you're working harder and trying to stay afloat and, you know, just trying to make it through this rough patch. Well, I've had one of those weeks. There's been a lot of rough patches, and it seems like there was something every day for me to navigate. And knowing that I was talking this Sunday about gratitude, I was, of course, trying to find something to be grateful for in every situation. And there was just something every day that was challenging me. But I want to tell you about my little beloved cat, Pashti. She has been my companion for almost 18 years. So you can imagine that she and I have been through a lot together. We've lived in different states and in different homes, and there's been different relationships and lots of life together. And she's only 7 pounds, this little white cat, but she is just full of attitude and personality and will. And well, at this stage of life, Pashti is geriatric, and so we have some issues that we're managing. She has a hyperactive thyroid, and she has some kidney issues. So she requires daily medicine for the thyroid, and now, as of recently, she has to get these shots in her back with subcutaneous fluids for her kidneys. And so we were at the vet this week, and you know, we've been going regularly. She's supposed to go every other day to get these shots of fluids. And so she's been at the vet a lot, and she doesn't like the vet at all because they handle her. They hold her down, they poke her and prod her and stick needles in her back, and she hates it. So we were there on Monday, and the vet wanted to take some blood to see what was happening with her thyroid and her kidneys. And so they held her down and they put a needle in her leg and they were drawing blood, and she was resisting. And so they were holding her harder. And so she was fighting back even harder, and they kept flipping her because she kept fighting, and they kept turning her and they're holding her, and the harder they hold her, the harder she fights. And anyway, they ended up breaking her leg. And I knew immediately that there was something wrong. I could just tell. And initially my mind went to, oh, wow, this is devastating. You know, this is a crisis. You know, it's like if a 90-year-old woman broke her hip, this would be a real big challenge. And so we brought Pashti home, and we have to isolate her in one room, which is not her style at all. And because she can't walk and she can't jump and she's not supposed to do stairs and she's supposed to stay isolated. And so we've set her up with a little bed and everything that she needs right there. And I've been spending more time this week with her, petting her and making sure she's okay. She's had a lot of pain, and so I'm just trying to keep her calm and keep her happy and take care of her. And the blessing in this situation is that she's actually been a lot calmer and more receptive of love and attention. Normally, she's a very independent little creature and does her own thing, and she's okay with some petting and attention, but then she's done, and she goes off and finds her little place to hide and sleep. And this week, she's been a lot more receptive to that care and that attention, and I've really been appreciating that. And the other thing that's been a blessing in this situation is that we've had quiet mornings. Now, Pashti is hyperthyroid, so when she's hungry, she's ferociously hungry. And so she wakes up every morning before the sun, it's still dark outside, and starts crowing or crying because she's starving. And, so inevitably somebody has to get up to feed her or calm her down. And, so we haven't slept very well for, a while, the last year and a half since she's had thyroid issues. And so the blessing that we are also finding in this situation is that we've had some quiet mornings. She wakes up around 7 and cries a little bit. And, well, that's a reasonable time to get up. So, we're just trying to find the blessing in this situation and provide her with the kind of care and attention that she needs at the end of her life. And so there's a blessing in every situation. It's all about how you choose to see it. So let me ask you, are you the blind boy whose sign reads, "I'm blind, please help"? Or maybe your sign reads, "Today is a beautiful day, but I cannot see it"? Or are you the one who can say, "I may be blind, but I am grateful for this beautiful day"? It's really all about your attitude and how you choose to perceive your life. So I'd like to talk a little bit about heart-brain coherence, because this is a really important concept. And the spirit of Thanksgiving is the celebration of the harvest and the blessings of this year with a heart full of gratitude. So this means having an attitude of gratitude plus a grateful heart. Now, when we have stressful experiences or depleting emotions such as frustration or overwhelm, this leads to increased disorder in the higher level brain centers and the autonomic nervous system, the fight or flight or the stress response in the body, which is reflected in our heart rhythms. That's called heart variability. And the research at the HeartMath Institute shows that heart rate variability is the most dynamic and reflective indicator of one's emotional states, your current stress, and your cognitive functioning. And this research that the HeartMath Institute has done has led them to really understand the neural and other communication pathways between the heart and the brain. And they have observed that the heart acts as though it had a mind of its own and could significantly influence the way that we perceive and respond to our daily experiences. In essence, it appears that the heart affects our awareness, our perceptions, and our intelligence. So this research indicates that the heart is far more than a pump for your blood and your circulatory system, but the heart is in fact a highly complex information processing center with its own functional brain, which is commonly called the heart brain. And it communicates with and influences the cranial brain via the nervous system, the hormonal system, and the other pathways in the body. Now, numerous studies have shown that heart-brain coherence is an optimal physiological state associated with increased cognitive function, self-regulatory capacity, emotional stability, and resilience. So this heart-brain coherence affects your brain function, your mental clarity, your creativity, emotional balance, intuition, your effectiveness, and most of your major organs in the body. Essentially, heart-brain coherence plays an important role in mental and emotional balance and the quality of our lives. This is the optimal state, the heart-brain coherence, which is essentially having an attitude of gratitude and a grateful heart. It was the great Greek philosopher Plato who said, "A grateful heart is a great heart. It attracts to itself great things." This was a philosopher. And Eric Butterworth said, "Giving thanks is an important state of consciousness that keeps you in an awareness of oneness with the divine flow. When you understand this, you can see that a grateful heart does not need anything to be grateful for. It simply flows forth from within and becomes a causative energy." The grateful heart draws to itself great things. The ungrateful heart, the discouraged, complaining, covetous level of thought, will draw to itself limited things. So as Butterworth said, have a grateful heart and you can never be poor. But without gratitude, you're never rich. Therefore, the spirit of thanksgiving is the consciousness of joy and celebration that opens the way for the flow of abundance, and it is having a grateful heart. This is the heart-brain coherence that is optimal functioning. Now, in my historical Jesus class in ministry school, I was assigned to study Mary Magdalene. And this is a really important character in Jesus' life. Historians and scholars will say that Mary was the first disciple. She was the companion of Jesus. She was the apostle of the apostles. She was financially independent and she supported Jesus' ministry. She traveled with him and taught his message for at least 3 years. And then she carried on his teachings after Jesus' crucifixion. It's believed that she journeyed all the way to France, where she converted the people there to Christianity before she died. And the Gospel of Mary Magdalene teaches that there is no duality between the mind and the heart. So here we have a 2,000-year-old teaching that talks about heart-brain coherence. Now, her story was not included in the biblical canon, along with any of the other Gospels that corroborated her story, such as the Gospel of Philip, because she was very significant as Jesus' partner. And there are, in fact, many ancient manuscripts that portray Mary Magdalene as the preeminent apostle, an enlightened woman who understood the teachings of Jesus better than any of his male disciples, and who was especially loved by Jesus. Now, in the Gospel of Mary, she teaches that there is no sin and we are not sinners. We think that we are the ego, but we have really forgotten that we are the soul within. And when we are not aware, we can identify with the ego and forget who we truly are. So Mary's Gospel calls us back to remember that we are the soul, the divine being. And she revealed that we are meant to experience being fully human and fully divine. And this is the union of the mind with the heart. So Mary's Gospel goes on to reveal this radical love that is at the heart of Jesus' teachings. And of particular importance in her Gospel is this Greek word nous, N-O-U-S, which is translated as mind, but this is an ancient understanding that really means the spiritual eye of the heart. For the ancient wisdom keepers like Mary, there was no duality between the mind and the heart, but actually the mind was in the heart. Mary's gospel teaches that there is a divine purpose in being human, and that we are both the created and the creator. That Jesus was revealing and teaching the divinity that exists within us, and that we are here in this body to discover that divinity. And this is the whole point of being human. It was, in fact, the Egyptians who kept the Gospel of Mary secretly hidden so that it would not be destroyed. And they practiced her teachings for nearly 2,000 years before the Gospel of Mary was discovered. They understood that even when your eyes are closed, we have vision when we go within. This sounds like unity. They would practice going into the silence that awaits us in the heart center. And this is not a silence as in the absence of sound, but this is the silence when the ego, the mind, is quiet and all of the thoughts and the fears subside. And in that silence in the heart center, there awaits a presence of divine love that wants to speak to us and is always available to guide us. So the Gospel of Mary teaches that when you turn your awareness to your heart center, that you find this divine presence within you, and that you tap into this divinity that is who you are, and you find that coherence between the mind and the heart. This is heart-brain coherence. I love that. I think it's so special. So we are practical spirituality here at Unity. So we're going to talk about how to put these principles into action. How do we live with heart-brain coherence? How do we have a grateful heart and an attitude of gratitude? So we're going to use an acronym today for heart, H-E-A-R-T. So H stands for have an open mind. How quickly we tend to think the worst of situations. We tend to think with the ego when we have really forgotten that we are this divine soul within. You know, Pashti's broken leg, it really could have been a crisis. And we chose to see it as a blessing. So have an open mind. You can find an opportunity in every situation to learn, to grow, to evolve, and to be grateful. Have an open mind. E stands for engage your heart. The mind will always create a problem rather than a blessing. So turn your awareness to your heart center and notice what you're feeling. The heart is the abode of spirit and will always be your true guide. Mary's gospel teaches us that in the silence that awaits us in the heart, there is this divine presence, this presence of love that wants to speak to us and is always available to guide us. So engage your heart. A stands for apply the principles. Giving thanks, as Butterworth said, is an important state of consciousness that keeps you in the awareness of oneness with the divine flow. And when you understand this, you see that a grateful heart does not need anything to be grateful for. It simply flows forth from within and becomes a causative energy. Apply the principles. R, remember who you are. There is a divine purpose in being human, according to the Gospel of Mary. We are both the created and the creator. And Jesus was revealing and teaching that divinity exists within each one of us, and that we are here to discover that divinity. And that is, in fact, the whole point of being human. You are here to have the experience of being fully human and fully divine. So remember who you are. And finally, T stands for thankfulness. Remember, gratitude and thanksgiving are both necessary for demonstrating prosperity through the divine law. That was Charles Fillmore. Gratitude is the great mind magnet and the causative energy. And as Eric Butterworth said, have a grateful heart and you can never be poor. Without gratitude, you're never rich. So the blind boy's sign reads, "Today is a beautiful day, but I cannot see it." What does your sign read? Maybe I am grateful for this beautiful day. Let's try that on for size. See how that changes our perspective of the world. So to wrap this all up, Eric Butterworth, my favorite Unity author and teacher and minister, said, when you have an attitude of gratitude, you have a consciousness that enables you to see abundance everywhere and to celebrate it. So celebrate the good that's all around you. The spirit of Thanksgiving is celebrating the harvest and the blessings of this year with a heart full of gratitude. This means an attitude of gratitude plus a grateful heart. Finding that heart-brain coherence plays a really important role in our mental and emotional experience, and it greatly impacts the quality of our lives. Engage your consciousness and your heart. And Mary's Gospel taught this concept, the spiritual eye of the heart, and reveals to us that we are meant to have this experience of being fully human and fully divine. And this is the union of the mind and the heart. And in fact, for the ancient wisdom keepers like Mary Magdalene, there was no duality between the mind and the heart, but the mind was in the heart. This is heart-brain coherence that modern science like the HeartMath Institute now validates. And our acronym is HEART. H is have an open mind. E is engage your heart. A is apply the principles. R, remember who you are. And T, thankfulness. Plato said, a grateful heart is a great heart, and it attracts to itself great things. So let us live with a grateful heart as we remember to be thankful for our blessings in this holiday season and every day of the year. For when you change, the world that you see changes. And so it is. Namaste. Amen. And let's have an experience of going into that beautiful heart space in meditation, where you can find union with the divine presence within you. You can experience that oneness with the source, with God. So I invite you to gently close your eyes. And let's take a long, slow, deep breath in together. And then let that go. And let's do that again. Take a long, slow, deep breath in. And as you exhale, feel yourself relax. Allow your body to soften. And allow your mind to be still. Begin to melt into this moment, becoming fully present. And feel the presence as you bring your awareness to your heart center. And allow your heart to open. Release all cares and concerns. Relax your mind, your emotions, your body, and open your mind and your heart. We enter into the recognition of the all-abiding, infinite life and love that is the Supreme Spirit, intelligence, and abundance of life. This life is all that it ever needs to be. Limitless, ever unfolding its infinite wisdom and possibility throughout all the universe. It is pure love, light, peace, and truth, joy, wisdom, wholeness, and the abundance of all things. And this life is unfolding perfectly. And I rejoice in this moment to know that this is the life that I am creating. That my life and the Source are one, a seamless unity. And I step out of old limiting ideas and into the true light and spirit of my being. I become that which the Creator has created me to be. And I declare with clarity that I am life, I am love, I am peace, joy, wholeness, and an ever unfolding and flowing abundance of creativity and good. That all ideas of limitation and lack are dissolving in this very instant. I realize that I am the outlet for the omnipresent abundance of divine substance. And I affirm that abundance is everywhere present in my life. In this realization, I am prosperous. Limitless substance is my source. And I rejoice to know that there can never be any scarcity in spirit or truth. Therefore, my life is grounded in an endless, continuous flow of divine good. I know and affirm that the ideas of divine mind now pour forth into my consciousness, into my heart, and into my world for manifestation. I open to creative insights that pave the way for the divine good to express itself in and through me. There is nothing too great that it cannot be filled to overflowing with this good. And I give thanks and rejoice. And I know that this is who I am. As this consciousness is anchored within me now, I know that flowing forth through me is the abundance of pure being. And flowing back to me is the abundance of life. And I receive greater financial good, increased and wondrous opportunities, and every area of my life is prosperous and flourishing. My creative expression abounds as this consciousness is who I am now. And it moves forth to take form. And I give great thanks for the good that is mine in every way, manifesting in the perfection of the law, in all of the right and perfect times and ways. And I am so grateful for this truth, made known and realized and expressed in and through me so abundantly this day. And I accept this knowing with great joy. Knowing that it is done unto me as I believe. And I believe. Thank you, Spirit. This is now so. And so it is. Amen. And we will close with the prayer for protection, written by James Dillett Freeman. The light of God surrounds me. I am the light. The love of God enfolds me. I am the love. The power of God protects me. I am the power. The presence of God watches over me. I am the presence. Wherever I am, God is, and I am safe and secure, and all is well. The Lord watches between me and thee, while we are absent one from another, and helps us to know that we are all one in spirit. And so it is. Namaste. Amen.